Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. Today I am going to be talking about the dreaded writer's block.
No! God, please, no! 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 No!
For this video, I'm going to be giving 5 tips on how to get over writer's block, or how I like to get over writer's block when I get stuck in a rut. I'm going to just jump right into the video because I ran into some writer's block recently, and these are 5 things that helped me dig myself out of the hole that I had shoved myself in. First tip I have for getting out of writer's block is watch movies or TV shows or listen to music that inspires the themes of your story. So for me, with Dark Radiance, I took a lot of inspiration from different shows that I had grown up watching, specifically Buffy the Vampire Slayer, The Covenant, The Craft, The Vampire Diaries, the originals, that kind of stuff. When I was in my writer's block, I watched these things, or I watched clips of them so I could see where my themes were and get re-inspired by the themes in those movies that I loved and wanted to implement into my story. Also, music is a very big thing for me. I've mentioned this before. I'm very musically inclined. I hear a song and automatically my brain is going into scenes, no matter what the song is. No matter if I'm writing a book that goes along with that song, my mind is almost like doing a fan video of my own writing, as that makes sense. Like, you know, like the really cool like Klaus and Caroline fan videos? That's what my mind does, and it's playing scenes all the time when I hear music. I partly think it's because I've danced in the musical theater my entire life, so I'm just very musically inclined. So if I will sit and listen to a song that really inspires a scene, it inspires me to go and write, and that was one of the biggest things that helped me. My second tip is to outline the main points of your story. I was stuck in a spot in my story which gave me the writer's block, and I was frustrated because I couldn't figure out where I was going wrong. So for me, when I outlined the main points of each chapter, I reread some of the pieces, I was able to figure out where I wanted to go with the story and where the story was going, because if you don't know, I am not an outliner. I like to lay main points out for this reason, because it's visually, I can see where things aren't hitting, where beats aren't going in. This is really helpful if you're also using the Save the Cat formula. I personally don't use that formula, but I do have the book and I do think that they make some good points. And that being said, the points of like the beats are really helpful when I'm in a writer's block and I'm trying to figure out where I'm going with my story. Number 3 is one that is going to sound kind of silly, but for me this really helps, and that is have a meeting with your characters. You sit at that executive table in your mind and you bring all your characters in. No matter if they like it or not, you're gonna have a talk with them and you're gonna figure out what's going on. What's going on in the story? Who's doing what? Why is this character running off and doing something I didn't plan them to do? I don't know if that makes me sound just like a crazy person, and to the average person who is not a writer, I probably sound psychotic. But for me, when I sit down and I think, and I have this meeting with my characters, it really gives me more of their personality. It shows me who is going where, what needs to be done, where their story is going, because this is their story. I'm just writing it down for them. Honestly, like, this is Lily's story and Aspen's and Asher's story. They're just telling me what is going on. So when I have this meeting with my characters, I can sit down and be like, listen y'all, if you want me to get this right, you're gonna have to tell me what is going on. And maybe that just makes me a crazy person, but talk with your characters. Figure out their personalities. Figure out who they are and what they like on their ice cream. My 4th tip is to take a break. I think that sometimes, especially when you are in like the writing community or AuthorTube, you see everyone who is writing. That can actually lead to burnout, and I've seen that in myself. If I try to compete with other AuthorTubers who are putting out books like this, and this, I am physically not able to do that. I go to school full time, I work 2 jobs, and I also write. I'm filming this at 2 a.m. on a day I don't have anything to do because this is the only time I can do this. This is mostly the time I write. So for me, if I try to compete and say I'm gonna write 10,000 words in a day or 5 chapters in a day because so-and-so is doing it, that burns me out. So if you need to take a break, that is not a bad thing. Sometimes you just need to step away from the world and you need to be like, hey, listen, I need a break, so I'm going to set you down for a week or a couple days and then I'll come back to you. There's no harm in that. There's no harm in stepping away from a project to get a clearer mind, because I find that when I step back, I leave the project for a day or 2 or maybe even a week, depending on what's going on, I will come back with a more refreshed mind, and I will come back more inspired to start the project again, because I'm not all up in my head and I'm like freaking out over everything. So I recommend, if you get frustrated with your progress and you dig yourself into a writer's block, take a step back. It's going to be okay. You will finish this book, and 2 days that you take off or a week you take off is not going to kill you or your book. I promise you. I mean, you might kill yourself with your book if you don't take a break. So I highly recommend taking a mental break. And my 5th and final tip is have a self-doubt funeral for your self-doubt. And I'm not even joking. You sit down, figure out where your self-doubt is coming from. Maybe you don't know perfectly where it's coming from, but if it's comparing yourself to someone or trying to emulate someone and not hitting that and you're getting frustrated with yourself, write those things down on a piece of paper. I'm dead serious. This helps so much. Write those things down that you are not liking or you're self-doubting yourself about. Put it into an envelope. Take your envelope, and if you have a fire pit, this is really refreshing. Go out to your fire pit and burn that piece of paper. And then the smoke releases all of your self-doubt, and you've had yourself a self-doubt funeral. Now, if you don't have a fire pit, please don't burn your house down trying to burn your self-doubt. I mean, I would hate that. But if you have some way to get rid of it, maybe a paper shredder or just ripping it up and stomping on it, it's very refreshing. I just did this and it was very like eye-opening. Like I felt good about myself after that. I was like, yeah, you take that self-doubt. I mean, you're not harming anybody. You're just writing down the things that you think you're bad at, and then you're saying, you know what, I'm not bad at these things, and you're burning them in a fire pit. It's like having a breakup, like a Taylor Swift breakup. Taylor Swift breakup with your self-doubt.
Look what you made me do. Look what you made me do. Look what you just made me do. Look what you just made me do.
So those are my tips for getting over writer's block. I really had a bad spout of writer's block this past summer, and I just had to figure out what worked for me and what helped me get out of them. I've been jotting them down, so I hope this helps you a little bit. I hope somebody does a self-doubt funeral for their self-doubt and like sends me a picture of them like burning or like ripping up their self-doubt that they have. So if you have a self-doubt funeral for your self-doubt, please send that to me, because I will feel so much better about that. And if you talk to your characters, let me know down below, because I'd love to know. I hope you have a wonderful day, and I will see you next time in Wonderland, loves. Bye!